Hi guys, I'm DrHans and this is my channel about homebrewing. If you're into beer and homebrewing, consider becoming a subscriber by hitting that subscribe button and check that little bell so you don't miss anything when I post a video like this one. And of course, a thumbs up goes a long way. With that said, let's go on with today's video. Today we're doing another episode in the Hops Grow in My Garden series for this summer. Well, it's not summer now, but I've grown the hops this summer, and today we're up to episode number, I don't know really, I will put the number up there, but today we're gonna see some hop harvesting, and we're gonna see me brew the beer, and of course we're gonna taste the beer. So here you have the beer, and yeah, this was brewed with the Hallertau mittelfrueh hop. Let's watch the footage. Okay guys, today we will be harvesting the Hallertau mittelfrueh. I've been waiting to the end to do this. To the end of the world. So you see, it's autumn now, beginning of October, but this plant took a very long time for the cones to be ready, but they are now. They are like papery and really nice, big looking. You can see the leaves are starting to die off, so yeah, we need to pick them. So this is the biggest one of all the plants. And here you see some cones have some browning on them. But most of them looking fantastic. And a little browning doesn't mean that they are bad. I would smell the cones and decide from there. So if you haven't seen all of the other videos about this plants and all my other plants, please go and watch them as well. You see, all of the summer I have been updating this huge mother, so it has stopped climbing, but this has been a real beast. Hoping to get a lot of cones out of this one. You see, it's a lot of cones, but we will have to measure it and see how much it is. Here's from the top. There's the brew shed. See, leaves gone really brown, but cones are looking fine. Really need to get this one now. I had some chewing here, might have been the deers, or even Moses, or the neighbors. I don't know. Weighing up the bucket so we know how much it weighs. 430 grams. Oh yeah. So here's the final result. All of the hops from the Hallertau mittelfrueh. 85.9 minus 430 grams. That's 1 kilo and 429 grams, or 50.4 ounces. Cool. So I'm gonna fill up my food dehydrator with as much as possible, and the rest I will brew with tomorrow. That's the plan. Very good looking cones. That's a leaf. Take that out. And that's a fly. So there are, of course, a few animals in here. Insects. Not deers or mooses. Okay, this little machine doesn't fit nearly as much as I would have wanted to, so I have to rethink my plan. Can't brew with everything tomorrow. I'm just brewing like 23-liter batches, so I can, of course I can, but I probably won't. I'm stuffing, like overstuffing the machine now, so I will have to rotate the discs every now and then. As the hops starting to dry up, they will of course take some less space, and that will let some more air through, circulation. So placing that on top, on a weigh and see how much we have left, but see, there are even cracks here. I lost some down in the abyss. We're gonna do this like not too hot, like 30-ish Celsius. Try to remember to give the Fahrenheit as well, doctor. Okay, so done the calculations. So left in here we have 623 grams, that's about 22 ounces. And in here we have 806 grams, or like 28.5 ounces. So it's a lot of hops left. It's doable, I will think about it. We have to think about that this is wet hops, so maybe divide it by 4, something like that. It depends on how wet it is, so divide it by 4 or 5 maybe, compared to dry hop, not dry hop but dry hops. And said I will swap the tiers around the discs, so hopefully this will be dried up for tomorrow. My idea was to like brew a standard lager with a Hallertau, if it's such a thing really. But if I'm chucking all of these hops in, it will be a lot more hoppy. Ain't a problem for me, but this is for a party, and yeah, as you know, everyone doesn't like hops that much, that I do. Okay, next day they are totally dry and vacuum packed. I measured it. It's now 168 grams. That's just under 6 ounces, and that means that it shrunk 4.8 times. A guideline is to divide your wet hops with like 5, somewhere between 4 and 5 maybe. In this case 4.8, so maybe 5 times when the moisture is out. Okay, so this goes into the fridge, and we're gonna brew with that. Let's throw this together with what I had. I ran out of Pilsner malt, so this is 3 kilos and 327 grams of Pilsner malt, 500 grams of wheat malt, 500 grams of Munich malt, 400 grams of Maris Otter, and 100 grams of acid malt. Grains going in. Stir it up really good. Hook up the circulation, and in 50 minutes come back, take a pH reading, and give it another stir. Okay guys, these are the hops that goes into this beer. At 30 minutes, I'm gonna add 110 grams of Hallertau mittelfrueh. It's all Hallertau mittelfrueh. It's gonna be single hop. And 5 minutes, we're gonna add. No, sorry, 50 minutes. We're gonna add 120 grams. At 5 minutes, 120 grams, and at flame out, 240 grams. And we're gonna do a hot steep, 30 minutes. Hallertau mittelfrueh ain't a high alpha acid hop, so I'm guessing it's about 4.5, so I calculated with that. I know this seems to be a lot of hops, but it's, if my calculations are right, it's equal to 123 grams of dried hops. So if we pull this one aside, this is 100 grams of dried hops. So can you believe it, how much they actually shrink? I'm screwing up this beer. This beer was supposed to be to a party for people who maybe don't like hoppy beers, but I'm doing it. Screw them. It's very dark now, but the first edition goes in, the 30-minute edition. 110 grams wet hops, which to my calculations should be like 23 grams hops. So I'm using this grain bag because my hop spider is big, but it won't handle this amount of hops. This is the 50-minute edition. I also added some yeast nutrient and protafloc. Fold this to one side so you can have some evaporation there. This is the 5-minute edition. Woo! Better. Okay, so this hops takes a lot of room. You see, it's working. Yeah, you can't see shit really. It's almost like pitch black. I'm filming the stars now, you can't see anything. It's a tree. Here's the wort. There's the hops. Okay. Flame out. And started the whirlpool. So now there's a lot of hops going in, as you saw earlier. You won't see much at this stage of the video, but you saw it earlier, so I think we will be fine. Of course, you see some hops there, but we need to get this one wet. This is the big flame out edition. I'm gonna steep them hot for 30 minutes. Okay guys, there you have the footage. I'm doing the backdrop again. I really like it. Some of you really liked the backdrop, some of you didn't. That's fine. I will do both. The beer. The beer has been sitting in the keg now for 4 days. So it's quite young. It's not, you see, it's quite clear already. It's not as dark as you see it. I have a light here. Yeah, something like that. More like that. There you have the beer. Okay. How about that beer? Does it look good? This beer is for party. So I thought I was gonna brew like a standard lager, something like that. But I didn't. Head sticking on very nicely. See, I've rigged up the lights and everything. Backdrop after pouring. So really good head on it. Quite carved as well. This beer is for a party. So I had to do the review of this beer today. You will see it a bit later on. So I had 2 beers for the party. I have the Oktoberfest. Video is already up on that. Gonna put a card up to the Oktoberfest and a link down below in the description. You always will find the links in the description, which I put cards up on, so you can really stick on to the end of this video and then go on with the next one. But yeah, so I had the Oktoberfest. It's an Oktoberfest themed party. It's at end of October, so it's an Oktoberfest party. So I have made 1 Oktoberfest beer. But I also thought I should do like a more standard beer. But yeah, as you saw in the video, I hope I haven't cut the brew footage up when recording this, because I'm in a hurry. Of course, hope they will kick the keg. But I need to record the tasting video for this video. I will try to make this a good video. Hope I did, you know, if I got any brew footage at all. I think so. And I can always editing that out, so you never know. Okay, so here's the beer. As I said, in the end, I put a lot of hops in it. I wasn't supposed to do that, but yeah, I had a lot of hops to deal with. So what a brewer is gonna do when I have a lot of hops? Brew with it. Cheers. I get that like a noble hop character. You think Pilsner? Yeah, like a Pilsner. Smells like a Pilsner. Quite a fragrant Pilsner that is. Okay, gonna dive in. Yeah, I also have the recipes. Gonna run through that as well. Cheers, guys. It doesn't taste like a Pilsner. It's much more hoppy. It's like an American Pale Ale hoppy, but not like a fruity, juicy hops like that. This hops is a noble hop character. Some spiciness in it. It's very clean. This is a very young brew. This is now 11 days from brew day. It's almost clear. You can see through it already. So if I given this a few more days in the keg, it had been like crystal clear, but it's very clear now. I'm not so very fussy about it. I think it looks really inviting with a slight haze on it. But yeah, this beer is for party and people that aren't into beers the way like I suppose you guys are, since you're watching this crappy channel about home brewing. Cheers, guys. They're used to beer being clear. So back to the beer. So there's no off flavors at all, no like diacetyl, no sulfur. So very, very clean beer, but it has a lot of hop character. So like a nobly character and with some spiciness to it. And I know from brewing with a lot of like noble hops that the spiciness when the beer is young, fresh, will mellow down quite quick. So if I have waited like 2, 3, 4 weeks, maybe just like 3 weeks, maybe it would have mellowed down quite drastic from now. Maybe people at the party would have preferred this beer being aged for another week, but hey, they get the beers for free. So the Oktoberfest, on the other hand, has been sitting in the keg for, I think, a month. But yeah, this is young one. But I think when people realize that it's brewed from the hops grown in my garden, this year they will appreciate it a little bit more even. At least I would. So let's run through the recipe. The recipe also goes up on my Patreon page. It's already up there in the DrHans recipe book. Link to Patreon card down below. So let's start with the malt. And this is for a 23-liter batch, like 5-gallon batch. I will give you the grains in metric in kilos and grams. And the hops also in grams. We're going to talk about the hops because it's a little bit complicated with this one, as it was a wet hop beer. I'm also going to give you the recipe in percentage and IBUs, which actually is the best way to present a recipe. So I could just only give you guys the percentage if you prefer that, bringing the video a little shorter, and I could go the insane way and giving you the recipe in kilos, in ounces and percentage. But I think, as I said, percentage is the best way to share a recipe, and then the brewer add his own efficiency to the recipe and calculate his recipe from that. But as I have my recipe also in grams and kilos for a like standard batch, 23 liters, I will give you that as well. But please comment down below, guys, how would you prefer the recipes? I used 3 kilos on 327 grams of Pilsner malt, 500 grams of wheat malt, 500 grams of Munich malt, 400 grams of Maris Otter, and 100 grams of acid malt. I did add some calcium sulfate to this one, 4 grams, to try to bump up the hops a bit. And hop spice, this is getting tricky because I used wet hops, and in this whole recipe in the written form, which you find in the DrHans recipe book on my Patreon page, that you will have them, of course, both. But when weighing up the hops, and I did dry the half of the batch, like half of the batch. So I calculated a value, and the value is 4.8. Let me try to show you this and use my backdrop. Wet hop divided by 4.8 equals the dry hop. For this hop I had when I picked it, but it's a number to at least to go by. I didn't have the alpha acids on this one, but I found that Hallertau mittelfrueh is like 4.5% alpha acid, so I went with that number, and I think it worked. So very balanced beer. On the Pilsner side, bittering, yeah, because I do like a log with a little bite in it. And the Pilsner style is a more bitter lager. It's a bitter lager, okay? So back to the recipe, guys. Yes, I can give you both. Come on, I will do it. So at 30 minutes, first hop addition, 23 grams of Hallertau. It's all Hallertau mittelfrueh, nothing else. It's a single hop beer. So 23 grams, and that should be like 8.5 IBUs. And that equals 110 grams of wet hop. And at 50 minutes, I use 25 grams of Hallertau dried, and that's 7.4 IBUs. And that equals, which I actually used, 120 grams. And at 5 minutes, 25 grams also. That would give 5.6 IBUs. And yeah, that's the same, 120 grams wet, of course. And at flame out, I used 50 grams dry. That was actually 240 grams of wet hops, and that would give 9.6 IBUs. This recipe is dialed in with that the hops are being steeped for 30 minutes, like I did, and all of that, of course, bring bitterness as well. And according to Beersmith, that would be like 31 IBUs, and I think that I don't really have a clue, but it's a really, really nice beer. This was fermented under pressure at 2.4 bar. That's like 35 psi. And I started at 18 and I ended at 26 after ramping. I held it at 18 for like 2 days. Then I started ramping up to 26. Then I just cold crashed it and kegged it straight away. And I put gelatin in the keg. I have a video on how I do that. It's not really about just gelatin, your beer fine, your beer gelatin. It's about moving from one pressurized vessel into another. I'm trying to minimize oxygen exposure of my beer, so by doing it that style, yeah, I don't have to open the keg to add the gelatin, so it's a very good way to do it. Try it out. Watch the video after this one and see if you like that idea. It's not only for gelatin. You could add it whatever time of the brew. Maybe do like a hop tea added to the fermenter at the end instead of opening it up. So guys, this might be the last thing you ever see. Kan vi inte ta med? Det är tokigt, vi kör en gång till. So guys, this might be the last you see of this beer if the keg kicks tomorrow at the party. If you found this video amusing, or if you find it helpful, or yeah, just liked it, please share it with your friends, give it a thumbs up. If you want to, consider becoming a subscriber. If you want even more content and recipes, it's my Patreon page to check out, and of course the back catalog of all my other videos. So, cheers guys, and thanks for watching. DrHans out.